Welcome back to Mindful Escape, the podcast that inspires you to live your best life. My name's Leighton Jewett and I am your host, and today we have Stoic Benjamin on the show. Benjamin went through a really tough time in his life and came across the Stoic principles, which has helped him come through, and he now helps people all over the world live better lives by applying these Stoic principles. This is a really exciting episode and you'll get loads of value, so make sure you listen closely and we'll jump straight in. Benjamin, thanks for coming on to Mindful Escape. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm the number one Stoic mindset coach. I've been doing it for the past 6-7 months. I'm looking to change high achieving professionals' his mindset. They're already achieving success, but I want them to reach their full potential in as short and fast amount of time with the Stoic principles that I provide.
Amazing. So let's jump back a little bit. Before you got into this Stoic venture, what were you doing before?
So before, I've had a multitude of jobs. I've had sales jobs. I was in hospitality. I was in a coffee shop. But my last previous role was a managerial role doing door-to-door sales, which was it was an experience. It got me out of my comfort zone, and that's how I can speak to people great now. Like it opened up the communication that I can speak to strangers and anyone online and have these conversations without feeling that anxiety. So yeah, it was a good role. But then, as others I've heard on the podcast say, I wanted to have something for myself and build something which I can actively help people. That's my own, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's often that people are looking for something that they're more passionate about. Were you passionate about the door-to-door sales, or how did you feel in that world?
Look, I come from a business background. My family's into sales and business, and the art of selling is something I would always like to master and get myself into. So I did thoroughly enjoy the job, but it wasn't fulfilling in the sense of I was working for something else. Like if I was selling something that was meaningful and purposeful to myself, I would have preferred that. And so that's exactly what I've done. I've gone into something which I'm fully passionate about, which I can actively help people and just create a more meaningful impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sometimes happens that before you make a big change in your life, there's something that happens. Was there a trigger for you that made you think, do you know what, I need to change direction now?
For sure. Yeah. So in my previous job, it was very high maintenance. I also was in a relationship, had some problems with myself mentally. And it came to a point where I just crashed. I burnt out, became very depressed, went to therapy, medication, and I was in this hole. I did not know how to get out. And so, long story short, I ended up having some mindset coaching, which ultimately is the reason why we're here today. That transformed my life in a way which I can not even comprehend. Like I've become from my worst version to like my best version. And it was after realizing that the underlying problems in my life, that if I want to change, it's up to me. And that's when Stoicism got involved, and that's where the transformation truly took place. So it was, I think with a lot of success stories, a lot of them, as you probably know, the big transformation starts from coming at rock bottom. That's like the catalyst for them leading on to a successful life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like you went through quite a difficult time. Going through that transition from feeling the depression that you're going through and having the mindset coach and then creating your business, what was the biggest challenge through that journey?
The biggest challenge is uncertainty, right? It's like, is it going to go how I want it? Is it going to be sustainable? Am I going to keep this maintained mindset of a growth mindset? Because all my life I've been in a state of fluctuated emotions of I'd have really high emotions that would peak and then I'd be really low again. Like they were very fluctuated. And so my biggest concern was, if I'm avidly promoting this mindset and self-improvement stuff, is there going to come to a point where I'm going to be back at rock bottom again and it just like flips? And also, like I said, the uncertainty of if it's going to work. So I saved a chunk of money before starting the business that I could fall back as a crutch, and I just went ham. I made it happen. And I mean, it's a full circle moment right now, right? My very first call was with you ever on LinkedIn. And it's crazy how, in such a short amount of time, how long it's been like 5, 6 months,
Yeah.
how things can change. And it goes to show like hard work. And if you want something that bad to work out, you will find a way.
Hmm.
And I don't think it needs to be extended more than that. I think it's very simple. Like if you want something that badly, no reason why you can't do it, why I can't do it. And that's how you make the impact.
Yeah. And with the uncertainty that you mentioned, this is obviously something that you coach people on, right? Because you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know how you're going to wake up the next day, how you're going to feel, whether you're going to want to do it. What are the things that you implemented into your life to ensure that you remain disciplined, and also how you manage the uncertainty?
Of course. So I think the fundamentals need to get in place, which helped me is routine, structure, and purpose. You need to like know what you're passionate about. I knew from the very start that I was going to be fully passionate about helping people. I was massive into Stoicism, and so I knew I was going to be focused on that for a while. Discipline you need to get in place, and once you build discipline, you'll build a resilient mindset. And I think that's how you navigate through uncertainty. You just have to show up regardless of the results. You have a say in your future. I don't like to focus on the past and future, but you can create your reality, your future, by depending on your how much work you put in and the outcome. So, but I think the biggest thing for me for uncertainty is doing things anyway, like doing things when you don't want to do it. There's many mornings like when I wake up in the morning and I really feel like sacking it all in. Like that is majority of the time. I feel or like pressing the snooze button as cliche as it sounds and just going back to sleep. I'll do it later and you procrastinate. But you have to get into a state of doing things when you don't want to do, regardless of how you feel. That's how you'll be ahead of the competition because you'll have people who start things and then a couple months down the line, they fall out the routine, things come out of place and they drop behind. But if you show up every single day and remain consistent and you're not really focused on an ideal outcome, you're going to thrive. Like there's no reason why if you don't focus on the metrics and just focus on yourself, how well you're doing and how you are going to create the impact for people, you just got to not show you've not got to focus on the results and how you feel. That's the main important thing. And yeah, just smash it.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I like the three things you mentioned there about having the routine, the structure, and the purpose. Because a lot of conversations I have, it's people saying, but sometimes I just don't feel motivated. How can I motivate myself? But as you said, well, you don't always wake up feeling motivated, right?
Yeah. And I think people that's what people struggle with the most. It's motivation. How do I become motivated? What things can I do that can make me feel motivated? Like, sorry, but fuck motivation. Like, motivation isn't something like you need. It's willpower. That's what you need more than motivation. That's what will get you through. Because, like I said, I'm not motivated. I'm sure you're not motivated 24/7 to do things. Like that's just a natural human feeling we all have, and it's about building that resiliency in your head to push through. Because who else is going to do it for you? Like you've got to do it. Like and that's what all successful people will say. They all do stuff they don't want to do, and you just got to you got to keep focused.
Yeah. When you start working with a client or you're speaking to someone who's maybe at the start of their journey, I don't know if you have similar experiences to me, but I've often had conversations where someone will have tried to make changes in their life before. And what they will do is they'll try and change everything in one go and then fail within a few weeks. With the disciplined mindset, do you think it's possible to change a lot of things in one go, or do you have a different approach?
Yeah, I don't think you should change. I don't. That just overcomplicates things. I've had a person in the past who has had multiple therapies, mindset coaches, and is in the same position. It's because what I do with people, we figure out the underlying issue. We figure out, and we start from the very, very start, the basics. Like, what do we need to work on? Why do you have these existing beliefs? Where do you want to be? And how are we going? What's the solution? How are we going to get there? So you have to start small. You have to start at like, why have you even come to me in the first place? Like, what is that reason? And then it's by diving deeper into that and figuring out why they have their beliefs and starting from scratch. And I think that if you do everything all at once, like I've had a previous client that wants to change career, relationship problems, family problems, not feeling confident, all these things. And he wants to loads of different projects, and I'm thinking, this is why you're in the mess. Like you need to start from what's most important. I'm sure you might have heard of like the wheel of life,
Hmm.
like the resource. Like that's what I think most coaches start off with, to figure out what's the most important thing that we need to work on and start there. And I think that's the most simplistic and more efficient way of finding out the deep rooted cause to what they need help with.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I completely agree. And I think it's all about just focusing on one thing at a time. And once you've mastered that, then you can start bringing in other disciplines or directions. For your journey, obviously, we talked about the challenge of uncertainty. Was there a major lesson that you've learned that stuck with you throughout this transition or journey?
I would say, in what sense can you expand on that? Like, what do you mean lesson? That's very bit vague.
So, obviously, we learn a lot of lessons throughout our personal journeys. Is there one that's kind of stuck with you and you thought, you know what, that was a really important lesson that I've learned there and I'll never forget it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's even when you're at your lowest, because when you're at your lowest, you feel like you shouldn't even be here anymore. You feel that small, and you feel there's nothing to keep you going. For me personally, because I've been to rock bottom, I know now when there's adversities and problems and struggles in my life that I can overcome it because I've done it. I've been at the very like the worst of the worst, and I'm going to be real. The past couple of weeks have been very intense and stressful for me. I've There were some very intense emotions, but I remind myself I've been in such worse situations than this. There's no reason why I can't overcome this, and it's about learning to regulate your emotions. And Stoicism, I think the misconception is people think that Stoicism is about suppressing your emotions. It's not at all. Stoicism is about taking a step back, realizing why you're feeling like this, and seeing the bigger picture. So that's what I do now when I feel upset or intense or stressed. I take a step back and I think, okay, well, I've realized this is why I feel like this. How do I end up be feeling like this, and how am I going to navigate it? And it's about thinking more analytically around things and not reacting impulsively. And that's what Stoicism is about.
If there is someone who is listening now and they're going through a difficult time, they may be feeling like they're at their lowest. You obviously mentioned that you know that you've been at a lower point so you can get through this. But if someone feels that they're at their lowest point right now, what would you say to them, or what would you do in that situation?
First of all, because again, like I've been there, I would say seek help for sure. I'd say speak to people, whether that's friends, family, or professional help. That's the first step. Like you need to get that out of the way first. You need to people don't sometimes agree with that talking helps. It does. Like talking to someone at least helps empty the load that you have. And then you just gotta snap into it and realize that okay, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get the willpower to get out of this? What are the correct steps that are going to navigate me towards a good life? And it's hard when you're at that point, like because you're not even thinking about that, and that's the main important thing. But it's about doing stuff that you enjoy. Like start off doing small. Like, you don't even if you don't have a business and you or your work is tough and you've got all these problems. It's about just going back to the basics and doing stuff that you enjoy and setting principles in place. Like if you just get a routine in place, like when I was very depressed, I had no routine. But if I had a routine of some sort and still felt that way, I would still feel good that I've got a structure and purpose in place just with routine. So it's going back to the fundamentals and realizing, figuring out the steps that you need to take, seeking help and support. And once you've got that support, how can we get you back on the right track to the road that you want to go down?
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, man. Like, I mean, a lot of people experience it. I'm sure you've experienced it one in your life. Like every person will experience. a low point in their life and feel lost, confused, and misunderstood, and feels like no one understands. But I would say, and I think you'd agree, seeking support is the very first step.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was at that point, I was kind of in a stage in my life where I didn't want to open up to anyone. And I think maybe more as a man, we have this feeling of responsibility that we can't open up or we can't unload that burden. So we keep it to ourselves, and it's kind of like we'll just keep grinding through it, we'll keep pushing through it. But yeah, same as you, as soon as I opened up and spoke to someone, it was like, wow, okay, there's a way out of this.
But can I just add, if people aren't feeling like confident enough to open up to someone, then there's two other options. It's meditating on them thoughts in a positive way, and also self-reflecting and journaling. Like just write, even if like you struggle writing down, and that's a struggle as well. Even just writing one word a day. Start off like very basic and get in practice of that. Or voice. I know people that voice note their feelings and or like video themselves so they can actually see the progress. There's ways around it. But at the end of the day, it's finding that willpower within you that you are special. You're here for a reason in this world, and you're not just going to waste your life away. And that's what I try and instill into people that like it's not like come on, like, get in there. You know
Yeah,
what I
you've
mean?
got this.
Yeah, yeah. But I understand
Absolutely.
it's hard.
Yeah. So, thinking back to younger Benjamin, when you were kind of in this business salesy world and not doing your own thing, I don't know if there's things that you would want to change. I know a lot of people don't want to change their past, but is there any advice that you would give your younger self, or if it isn't to your younger self, someone else who's in a position that you were in a few years ago that you would like to share?
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful for these, and like you said, like people don't really like to change their past, and pretty much the same. Like I'm very grateful for the experience I've had when I was young, because that has ultimately shaped me to where I am today. Advice that I would give my younger self is not jump around from relationships too much. I spent a lot of my teenage years moving around relationships and not experiencing life as the best I had, and didn't have. And I dropped out of school, as you know. I dropped out of school, did do my GCSEs, made some very poor life choices. But this is what I mean. Like this is looking back. This is what's shaped me today. Like this is the reason why I can coach people and talk to people from the life experience that I've had. So for people that are like struggling or don't know what to do in their life at a young age, like you don't have to figure it out at that age. Like you can just do like figure out what you like, and then just hone in on something and trial and error things. That's what I would do. I didn't have a lot of trial and error as a kid. I wasn't business motivated. I wasn't thinking about what I wanted to do. I only realized what I wanted to do this year later. Like when I had the first conversation with you, like it's only coming till now, and people won't till maybe like they're 30. Like it's different for everyone. It's a change, but you have to figure out what you like and go back to the core basics because you're young. Like you're gonna have time, so just enjoy your teen years, and yeah, like you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I think actually you could probably apply that to any age, right? If you're
Yeah,
you, it's like your younger self, it's your teens, but for people who are older, it's actually, well, yeah, if you don't know what you want to do, start with the basics, figure out what you like doing.
and I also think as well, like going back to like the teens bit, I think a lot of teens feel like, let's say, like their girlfriend at the school broke up and they feel like it's the end of the world, or they've like failed an exam, and at the time when you feel like that, it's heightened emotions, right? It feels horrible, but you've just got to realize everything happens for a reason. It's all a lesson. Everything we do, we can reframe into a positive attitude to help us through life. That's
Hmm.
what I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it's all stepping stones to where we end up.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Stoicism and the principles that you implement into your coaching?
Yeah, cool. So I focus on I think the main one is focusing what's in your control, and letting go of things that don't serve you, that don't need attention. That is like it's so simple when you say it, but the amount of people that don't put that into practice is is crazy, and people struggle with that. But once you realize that the only things that you're in control of is your thoughts, actions, and response, life becomes easier, and that's what happened in my experience with my clients. What they've told me once I've started implementing it. Another one is using challenges and adversity as opportunities for growth, as literally what we've just mentioned.
Mhm.
Another one, which is actually very people don't quite understand, but like memento mori and negative visualization, that's something that has helped me through like the hard times. And for people that don't understand that, is people, the Stoics say you should prepare for the worst in your head, but not in a depressing, waiting for something bad to happen way, but sort of mentally preparing for situations so you can, when they arrive, you can deal with it in the appropriate way and have the correct mindset and response. Marcus Aurelius says you're going to be woken up. Sorry, you're going to wake up and you're going to be greeted with unmeddling, ungrateful people, horrible people, and you've got to be prepared for that. So these are, yeah, they're just a few principles that help my clients navigate what they need doing, and it helps, man. This is the reason why I'm doing what I do, because it's like Stoicism is such an old philosophy, and Christianity took over, and it's just sort of got washed to the side. We've got Ryan Holiday, he's a great modern day Stoic, but um, I want to be that person that taps into like more mindset and bring Stoicism back, because it positively changed my life for the better, and there's no reason why it can't help other people. I'm fully aware that I probably won't be able to help everyone in the world. No one can help everyone in the world because of circumstances, but I think I can help a lot of people with just telling people and for people to practice just the core, even the four virtues. And yeah, I think you'll have a really good life if you just stick to something that's positively impacting.
Yeah, I really like what you said about focusing on what you control. And there's only three things you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. And it's just
Yeah.
so powerful.
It, can I ask for you, like personally, like how do you implement that? Is there any situations that you have felt like they haven't been in your control, but you've like been worried about, or you've like stressed over, or
Yeah, so it's funny actually because you obviously came from your lowest point and got to where you are through Stoicism. But
yeah,
I got from my lowest point to where I am today through mindfulness.
okay,
So we've both been on a similar journey, but taken a slightly different route. And I have read a lot of Stoicism books, and
yeah,
Marcus Aurelius Meditations is amazing. But for me, it's all about being present.
yeah.
And when you're present and you're aware of your thoughts, then you can be aware of your actions, and you can also be aware of how you respond to things. And
And
for,
yeah, it links so closely together,
yeah,
but obviously different niche. But that, yeah, that's really interesting because mindfulness is a massive part of stoicism as well, and being in the present moment is one of the main principles as well. Like being present, not living in the past, not thinking about the future too much. And I mean, I still have trouble now being in the present moment. Recently, I've been very caught up with things, and it's been a whirlwind. I've not been presently, but it's very it's hard to navigate. I think meditation helps with being present. Yeah, that's very interesting.
yeah. And I think it's once you stop worrying about what has already happened or worrying what could happen in the future, then all of a sudden your stress just starts to dissipate and you just feel so much better. And then you can worry about
Yeah,
what's happening right now.
yeah. I mean, people come to me and clients come to me and say they talk about the past and like things that have happened to them, and no, okay, let's acknowledge that situation. Let's acknowledge the past for a second. Let's deal with any avoided trauma that you've gone through. And then once that's done, and that's it. Literally, that is it. Because there's no point dwelling on the past. Like every day's a new day. Um, and yeah, it frustrates me when people focus on the past, because it's like It doesn't exist anymore. It's not even a thing. Like tomorrow you wake up and today doesn't exist. Like you have to live presently at all times. And that's the only thing that matters. Like right here, right now, your actions, your thoughts. And that's how you'll shape your reality if you focus on them key things. Simple.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Simple.
this is what I mean. I think people overcomplicate this though, like mentally about struggles, and they get in their head too much. But I think when you take it back to the basics with mindfulness, stoicism, reflecting, and just breath work, breathing, and just taking it back to where human nature is all about, you can just live a life of like tranquility. And I think people just like don't overcomplicate things, simplify things, like take a break, like just listen to your body and just breathe. I sound very philosophical right now, but yeah, no, yeah.
No, but you're right. It all starts with slowing down and taking a breath and realizing where you are.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks so much for coming on today. It's been really, insightful. Where can people find you online?
So people can find me on LinkedIn, Stoic Benjamin, and Instagram, Stoic Benjamin.
Perfect. Thanks again for coming on.
Perfect. Thank you, Leighton.
And there we have it. Thank you so much for listening. The biggest takeaway for me was around focusing on what you can control. And those are only 3 things, as Benjamin mentioned: your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. And if things aren't going the way you want in your life, then you need to take a moment, take a breath, and take a step back and realize that you are in control of your thoughts. You are in control of your actions. And you are in control of how you respond to situations. And it might not feel that way right now, but if you can take a moment to step back from the situation you're in and really look from the balcony and see what is going on in your life, then you can start making small changes today to start taking control and living the life that you truly want. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found value, make sure you share it with a friend on social media, and I'll see you again, same time next week.